This is not a drill. The sirens are sounding tonight, not for a storm, not for an earthquake, but for a financial tsunami set in motion by the Federal Reserve itself. In just the last 24 hours, Jerome Powell and his team made a decision so reckless, so detached from reality, that even two of his own top governors, Bowman and Waller, mutinied for the first time in 30 years. Now think about that. A public revolt inside the Fed? This is something we haven't seen since 1993 because they know millions of Americans are about to be crushed under this man-made wave. Now, here's the terrifying part. This tsunami already has a countdown clock on it. Defaults are set to spike in weeks, not months. Foreclosures are already building on the horizon. Credit card debt is drowning families at 30% interest. And Powell still says, wait until September. Well, folks, this is the sixth largest economic quake ever recorded. And the wave that it unleashed is heading straight for every home, every small business, every paycheck in this country. And just like those standing on the beach in Hawaii before the real tsunami hit, millions of Americans have no idea what's coming for them. Now, of course, I'm going to share with you guys which regions of the country are first in the path of this financial wave, why two Trump-appointed Fed insiders risked everything to sound the alarm, and of course, the lifeline that President Trump's team is preparing to stop this disaster before it wipes out millions more. Now, you're going to have to choose. Do you keep trusting Powell's Fed, or do you stand with those who are fighting to save your home, your savings, and your future before this tsunami hits? So let's go ahead and break this down, because once you see what Powell just unleashed, you're going to understand why time is running out right now. If you appreciate the updates, the alerts, the breaking news, please take a second, hit the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not speculation anymore. The sirens are blaring tonight across America's financial system. The Federal Reserve has just made a decision that will send shockwaves through every home, every business, every savings account in this country. Jerome Powell and his team had a chance to ease the pressure. Inflation's already under 3%. Prices have cooled. Families are suffocating under record borrowing costs. Yet the Fed, they kept rates sky high. They could have thrown you a lifeline, but instead they've decided to unleash a wave of pain that's building strength by the hour. Instead of standing on a quiet beach, no clouds in sight, but offshore, a massive tsunami is racing toward you. Now, just imagine that, guys. This is essentially what Jerome Powell has just triggered, a financial tsunami that will slam into millions of Americans who don't even know that they're in danger yet. And make no mistake, this is not an accident. This is a man-made disaster, a deliberate choice from the most powerful unelected institution in this country. And tonight, you're going to need to hear just how devastating this wave is going to be before it's too late. Now, the countdown has already begun, okay? This isn't just some far-off threat. They've set the timer on a nationwide wipeout. Defaults are already climbing. Analysts expect foreclosures to surge in August and September. And by September, thousands more families could be losing their homes. And so what does Jerome Powell say? Maybe they'll cut rates later this fall, maybe. But by the time the Fed wakes up, the first wave of destruction will already be here, wiping out savings, crushing small businesses, pushing families over the edge. So let me ask you this. Would you stay on the beach if sirens were blaring, telling you a wall of water was minutes away? Then why on earth would you trust Powell while the countdown clock is ticking, while this financial wave barrels toward every paycheck and every mortgage in America? Now, of course, I'm going to show you guys something that's even more shocking. For the first time in 30 years, top Fed governors actually revolted against Powell. Governors turning their backs on him, warning him that this decision will crush you. That's right, guys, a mutiny inside the Fed. But he ignored them. He ignored every alarm. And if you think that this wave is big now, but wait until you hear what Jerome Powell chose to in silence, okay? Keep watching, because you need to know who's fighting for you, and you need to know who just set this tsunami in motion. Now, for 3 decades, the Federal Reserve has marched in lockstep. Rarely has anyone dared to challenge the chairman's power up until now. For the first time since 1993, 2 of Powell's own top governors, Michelle Bowman and Chris Waller, rebelled during this decision. Now, these aren't some rookies or some political hacks. These are Trump appointed experts, economists with decades of credibility, people who understand what's happening on Main Street better than anybody in that boardroom. And they told Jerome Powell point blank, cut rates now, save Americans from what's coming. And what did Jerome Powell do? Ignore them, shut them down. He's standing alone, clinging to a failed policy while millions of families are seconds from being financially swept away. Folks, this is the equivalent of a ship's captain steering straight toward a tsunami while his best navigators are screaming, turn back, turn back. It's crazy. The question every American has to ask themselves tonight is this. If Jerome Powell's own insiders don't trust his judgment, why should you, right? So in just a minute, I want to show you guys why this wasn't just Washington politics. This is a nationwide flood of pain that's already hitting specific regions first. Now, if you think that you're safe because you live inland, you're dead wrong. This wave doesn't stop at state lines. Now, being kicked off of Medicaid can feel like the end of the road, but it wasn't for Sharon Bertusik. She called Chapter, got on a brand new plan with zero premiums, zero drug costs, and her copay dropped from $89 all the way down to $20. Catherine Garcia had a very similar experience saying, I actually spoke to a real person, compassionate and kind, who got me full coverage. I owe absolutely nothing now. Guys, this is why I partnered with Chapter. They fight for people who have been left behind. Give our friends a call at Chapter. You'll see a phone number down on your screen. Call them right now. Phone number is 909-563-8279 or visit them at askchapter.org/Ron. You don't have to face this nightmare alone. It only takes a second and it's totally free. So let's talk about the path of this financial tsunami, because just like a real wave, it has a direction, and we already know which regions it's going to hit first. California and Florida are already seeing housing market collapse under the weight of insane mortgage rates. Families who could afford a home just a year ago, they're now being priced out, forced into skyrocketing rents, high HOA fees, property taxes, homeowners insurance, or they're just losing their dream houses entirely. In the Midwest and the South, small businesses are suffocating. Loans are drying up. Local shops can't survive at 9% or 10% borrowing costs. Every day they stay open feels like treading water, waiting for the wave to crash. And in every major city, New York, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, credit card balances are exploding, 25%, 30% interest rates. It's madness. Families are one emergency away from drowning in debt that they'll never escape. Now, don't think that this is a Wall Street problem. Don't think being miles from the coast saves you. This wave is racing toward every paycheck, every grocery store, every home in America. And while millions of us are scrambling to get to higher ground, the Fed is sitting back on its throne pretending it's not happening. But here's the scariest part. Millions of people don't even know that they're in danger yet. So the next part that we really need to talk about is very important, because just like tourists standing on a quiet beach just moments before the real tsunami hits, most Americans are completely blind to what's coming. You need to hear this warning before it's too late. Now stick with me, because you're never going to look at your money, your home, your bank account the same way again. Now picture this, a family on vacation, standing on a beach in Hawaii. The sun shining, kids are laughing, no clouds in sight. But just miles offshore, a monstrous tsunami is racing toward them. Sirens are blaring, warnings are going out. Yet some people say, stay put, because they think danger won't reach them. That's what millions of Americans are doing right now with their finances. They don't see the big, huge tsunami wave coming. They're still swiping credit cards at 25% interest, signing mortgages that will crush them months from now, trusting that the system will keep them safe. And Powell knows this. The Fed knows this. Yet, instead of sounding the alarm, they're acting like it's all under control. Folks, I want to go ahead and tell you, it's not under control. This isn't a slow leak in the boat. This is a wall of water already on the move, and it's about to sweep away life savings, homes, and businesses. Now, of course, you're going to hear how Jerome Powell is making excuses for this disaster, and worse, who he is blaming for it. Spoiler alert, it's not himself or his failed policies. Now, hang on, guys, because this next part, this is where you're going to see the politics behind your pain. Now, you think with millions of Americans grasping for air financially, Powell would take responsibility for holding rates this high, right? But no. Insiders tell us that Jerome Powell is pointing the finger yet again at Trump's tariffs, claiming they're a reason not to cut interest rates yet. Wow, really? So let's be clear. This is a lie, or at best, it's a pathetic excuse. Trump's President Trump's trade strategy is bringing billions in new revenue, creating U.S. jobs and putting American manufacturers back on the map. There's no evidence that these tariffs are causing inflation. None. In fact, inflation's already cooled under 3%. So why bring Trump into this, right? Because Powell and his allies in the Fed are, of course, the global banking world cannot stand that Trump's policies put America first instead of international elites. That's the problem. They'll use any excuse to drag their feet to keep power in the same unelected hands that triggered this tsunami to begin with. Now, folks, ask yourself, is this really about keeping you safe financially, or is it about keeping Trump from winning another fight for American workers, right? And while they're playing these politics, that wave is getting closer. The next part of this video is really going to piss you off. I'm going to just go ahead and warn you right now. So we need to talk about how the same Federal Reserve that claims to know what's best for you is secretly losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and on top of it, sending your money to foreign banks. If that doesn't make you question who's steering the ship, I don't know what will. So now I want to go ahead and talk about the Federal Reserve, the same institution controlling the interest rates that decide whether you can afford a house, a car, even groceries on your credit card. Yeah, you would think that with all their power, all their prestige, the Fed would at least be a model of financial responsibility, right? Wrong. Behind the polished walls of their economic Taj Mahal, they're losing over $100 million a year. They're funneling money to foreign banks and operating without any real accountability to the American people. Think about that. The people who are deciding whether your family gets crushed under a 30-year mortgage are running a financial operation that's bleeding money, and half of it isn't even staying in this country. That is the worst combination in the world. Like, would you really trust a lifeguard who can't even swim to save you from a wave? Like, the lifeguard who's supposed to save lives, he himself can't swim. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Right, exactly. So then why on earth would we trust this broken institution with the power to drown or rescue millions of Americans? And yet Powell, sitting on top of this crumbling empire, refuses to act while the waters keep rising around you. But don't lose hope yet, guys. There is a plan to stop this wave from wiping out your future. And it's not coming from the Fed. It's actually coming from the one man who's proven he'll put Americans first when it matters the most. President Donald J. Trump. Now, stick with me because what I'm about to tell you is the only lifeboat in sight. So while Powell and his team delay, deflect, and play politics, President Trump, he's already moving to protect Americans before the financial tsunami wipes out millions more. His administration is pushing through immediate relief for workers, like no tax on tips and overtime, putting more cash directly into the pockets of hardworking Americans trying to stay afloat. His trade deals are bringing in billions, funding new investments, and rebuilding our economy on U.S. soil instead of sending your money overseas. And President Trump has promised to rebuild the Federal Reserve from the top all the way down to the bottom. That means auditing every shady deal, every foreign payout, every reckless mistake that they've made. This means appointing new leaders who will cut rates responsibly, save homes, lower credit card costs, and put the needs of the American families ahead of the global bankers. Imagine a Fed that actually works for you instead of against you. This is what's on the horizon. If we can stop this wave before it's too late, then we'd be good. But time is effectively running out. And the next few minutes could be the most important part of this entire message, because the wave that Powell unleashed is already building speed and strength. Now, I'm going to show you guys how close we are to impact, what that damage could look like, and why this may be your last chance to prepare. So you're not going to want to miss this. Now, we already talked about the wave that Powell unleashed. The countdown clock is ticking, the regions already being hit, and of course, the family is about to lose everything. But this is where it gets real. The financial tsunami isn't far out to sea anymore. It's actually closing in rather fast. Defaults are already stacking up. Credit card delinquencies are breaking records. Home foreclosures are rising in states that haven't seen this level of pain since 2008. And like a real tsunami, this wave doesn't lose its power as it travels, it grows. So every day the Fed keeps rates this high, that wave builds more force, gaining height, gaining speed, carrying with it the power to crush millions of hardworking Americans. Now, this is not abstract. This is not months away. We're talking days and weeks before the first wave hits full force. And while you're watching this, millions of people still haven't even heard the sirens. They're still on the beach. They're completely unaware of the destruction that's racing toward them, which means it's up to you, the people who see what's coming, to spread the word. Prepare your families and demand accountability before it's too late. Because once this wave crashes, there's no undoing the damage. Now, tonight, you've heard the warnings. You've seen the danger mapped out in plain sight. So on the one hand, you got Jerome Powell and an out-of-control Federal Reserve, an unelected group willing to drown American families in debt, ignore their own insiders, and even blame President Trump's America First policies to protect their own power. Now, on the other side, you got leaders who are willing to fight for you. Governors inside the Fed risking their careers to stop this madness. President Trump preparing a lifeboat, tax relief, trade wins, and a full audit and overhaul of the very institution that put us in danger. The question now isn't whether this wave is coming. It is. The question is, whose side are you on when it hits? Do you stand with the people who are fighting for your future, or do you keep trusting the same hands that just unleashed a financial tsunami on millions of Americans? Time's almost up. The sirens are sounding. This wave won't wait, and neither should you. Now, folks, if this message hit you in the gut, if you know someone standing on that beach with no idea what's coming, share this video right now. Comment below where you stand, because history will remember who fought back and who stayed silent. And don't just click away yet. YouTube believes the next video that you see on the screen on this channel is the one you cannot miss. We're diving deep, even deeper, into how this wave started and what you can do to ride it out. Go ahead and watch it right now, because every second counts before this next wave hits. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.